Hello, class. Mr. Fino here. This is the Unit 3 Judaism test prep. So you will watch this in preparation for the test this week. So after this, we'll do things like play group Jeopardy. You'll have some time for flashcards, quizzes, Kahoot, all in preparation for the test. So the first question you need to know the answer to is, how does the Torah say that Abraham first came to the land of Canaan? So the answer to that is that he moved with his family from Mesopotamia. So you can see here the route that they would have taken from the city-state of Ur in Mesopotamia through Babylon, along the river up here, and then eventually down into Canaan. All right, so moved with his family from Mesopotamia. How did ancient Judaism differ from other religions at that time? So the answer to that is they had a belief in one God versus these other civilizations in ancient times that were mostly polytheistic, meaning they believed in many gods. So this picture here just shows three of the more practiced monotheistic religions today. Judaism in the center, kind of the root of them all, Christianity and Islam. And this is a nice sort of picture to show that these religions can and should coexist. You know, there's a lot of war and conflict rooted around, especially Christianity and Islam, and that doesn't need to be the case. What place did the Jewish people believe was the promised land? And that would be Canaan, right? So that's the name of modern day Israel, this area along the east border of the Mediterranean Sea in what is today Israel, the country of Israel. So again, here it shows the Abraham's journey, but Canaan is the name of the promised land of the Jewish people, the Israelites. The word Exodus means departure. Departure, like departing from somewhere, leaving somewhere. In the history of the Israelites, the Exodus was the departure from, the answer is Egypt, right? Out of slavery, right? Moses led his people out of slavery, out of Egypt, right? Over that Red Sea, which it is said in the Hebrew Bible that he parted. They journeyed through the Sinai Peninsula. He would have, or the Arabian Peninsula. Received the, well, I'll stop there because I think there's more. Okay, so out of Egypt, Exodus means departure out of Egypt. According to the Torah, what did Moses bring to his people from Mount Sinai? I was kind of just alluding to that. The 10 Commandments. So here's an image or a statue or something of him carrying the 10 Commandments from his God. And right, that would have happened right down here, kind of towards the tip of the Sinai Peninsula. Who unified the Israelites into a single nation? That would be King David. I guess this is a picture of King David. And right, King David was a flawed individual, but he was also very well rounded, and he is kind of the reason that Israel kind of became one nation. He unified them together. For which achievement is Solomon most famous? That would be building a temple, right, to his God. David did not do it, and there's reasons for that, but then his son Solomon did build this very majestic temple. What weakened the land of the Israelites after the death of Solomon? So when Solomon died, it split into two smaller kingdoms, Israel in the north and Jerusalem in the south. Judah in the south. And because they split, it made them weaker, and it made them more susceptible to attack. Why did many Jews move to Babylon? Well, it wasn't their choice. They were taken there as captives by Nebuchadnezzar. So here, I don't know, this must be some famous piece of art because I keep seeing it. But this is a piece of art showing the Jews being forced out of Israel, out of Jerusalem, to Babylon. So you can see the long line of them and the soldiers. Why did the Jewish diaspora threaten the survival of Judaism? So remember, the Jewish diaspora, it means the scattering of the Jews, where they're forced all over the world. So it's because Jews became scattered over a wide area. So because they weren't in one place as they were before, they were all kind of in Israel, in Jerusalem, in that one spot where they could all worship and practice together. But as they were scattered over a wide area, forced to move all over Europe and North Africa and into Asia, it made it more difficult for them to continue their belief system, right? Because they're so divided. According to Judaism, standards of right and wrong come from their God. All right, that's where the right and wrong comes from. And one example of that would be the Ten Commandments, right, which are a list of 10 laws that kind of tell them how to live their lives, things they can't do and can do. The festival of Passover celebrates the Exodus from Egypt, right? That departure from Egypt. Passover is a Jewish celebration, and that is what it's remembering, is that Exodus, that departure from Egypt. This picture just shows part of that story, the lamb's blood over the door, so that the angel of death would pass over their house and not murder their firstborn. What was the result of Yohanan ben Zakkai's meeting with the Roman general? The answer to that is not Exodus. I shouldn't say Exodus here. It's just the founding of a school. Okay, I don't know why it says Exodus, Egypt. Ignore Exodus, ignore Egypt. The answer is the founding of a school. So he was a Jewish teacher, and he started a school in Yavne. Why did Jews in the diaspora have to develop new forms of worship, such as a synagogue service? So that's scattering, right? The fact that they were forced to move all over Europe, all over North Africa and Asia. This question just asking, like, what did they do to preserve their belief system, right? To keep worship going, like their synagogues and their services in synagogues. The reason is because they could no longer use the temple rituals, right? The temple in Jerusalem is where they would all gather before, but because they didn't have that anymore, it was destroyed and they were forced out of Jerusalem. They had to come up with their own new systems. So that is why, because they could no longer use the temple rituals. Jewish forms of worship and ways of life are taught in many different countries by rabbis. So rabbis are kind of like the equivalent of a priest in Catholicism, or minister in Christianity, or so rabbis they teach Jewish forms of worship and ways of life. Okay, I believe that is the final question you need to know the answer to. So yeah, you can use flashcards, quizzes, and good luck. Thank you.